Hello everyone. I am sorry that I can't be there in person today, but thanks to the magic of technology, I can present my stuff to you anyway via the magical World Wide Web. So here's my nowhere near as pretty as most of your handout that I emailed everyone, and then this one that was also in the email. It's actually from the Sex Workers Outreach Project, and it's an actual guidelines for mental health professionals working with individuals involved in the sex trade. And it is very, very, very informative and handy, and I highly recommend that you read that. So here is my stuff. Sex workers are kind of imminently aware of the danger of arrests and the impact that will have on their housing and their family members and their criminal record, also child custody and things like that. And this is especially true for people of color and trans folks, and especially trans folks of color. Other concerns are deportation and immigration, violence, and then violence from people on the street, people who know that they're sex workers, violence from clients, and sometimes violence from the police, and also a lack of support from the police when violence is reported. The stigma is so intense. The stigma for sex workers is huge and a really big problem for the community and the profession at large. And the isolation and invisibility are really huge concerns too, because a lot of sex workers cannot tell will not tell their family members or friends, community, or anyone in their lives, and sometimes their partners, that they are in the sex trade. So it can be very lonely. So here's some violence statistics too on here. 46% of sex workers have experienced violence in the course of their work. 42% have been threatened or beaten for being a sex worker. 14% reported violence at the hands of the police, and 16% encountered sexual situations with the police. There's still a pretty high, more than half of sex workers don't experience. I mean, this is indoor. This is indoor sex work. This is not street sex work. This is people who work indoors, which is people who have websites or people who work at a house or things like that. I want to make that distinction because street workers would have a much higher percentage of violence. Common safety precautions, and this is something that you're going to want to go over with people. And this is kind of culturally, a lot of people rely on these things. Using your gut instinct is a huge, huge resource for people. Screening customers, such as requiring a reference from a previously seen sex worker. Staying aware of your surroundings. Ensuring that a friend or coworker knows your location. This is in the kink community and the sex worker community. This is called a silent alarm. When you're going to see someone that you don't really know very well, you give a friend their phone number and address of the person that you're meeting, and their name. And if you don't check in with that friend at a certain time, they'll call you, and then they'll call the person, and then if there's still no response, they'll call the police and give the police that information, which may or may not be beneficial, as we've discussed, but it's a safety precaution. Some people only see regulars. Some people keep a weapon or mace on hand. Some people rely on the house where they work to maintain the safety. And of course, condoms are a huge, huge safety precaution. And needs in the sex worker community, healthcare, counseling, peer support is huge. Stable housing, legal assistance, immigration assistance, mentoring and alternative employments, translating skills to straight jobs, financial planning and taxes, and there's a bunch of stuff. Recommended treatments, peer support, client-centered to undo shame and stigma, feminist and multicultural competency, and case management. That